So we need to talk about the October surprise, right? This is something that stands in the middle of everything. I was listening to the Rush Limbaugh program a couple of days ago, earlier this week, and I had an interesting insight from a guy called Buck Sexton. And Buck Sexton is a reactionary radio commentator, again, right-wing radical, not a conservative in any way. And he was on there with a friend of his, John Schindler. John Schindler being a counterintelligence officer from the National Security Agency. So we had the authoritative combination of CIA analyst and NSA counterintelligence man, right? He's doing counter espionage, counterintelligence. So what did they talk about? They talked about the imminent October surprise. It's going to be the October surprise in favor of Trump, of course, because who else would it favor? Whoever's doing this is looking at this from the point of view of helping Trump. So the things that they were talking about, they volunteered the idea that there will be a data dump on the eve of the November election, and that this will shake all the institutions, right? All the trees in the forest will fall, say Sexton and this guy Schindler. It's going to be a cyber surprise. It's going to be an October surprise. A cyber attack is coming in October. Not only a cyber attack, says Schindler, but a massive cyber attack is coming in October. Now, you have to think about this. What does it mean? It's a cyber surprise, an October cyber surprise. This is what we've been talking about here for almost 6 months now, I would say, since, March, April? As soon as it became obvious that Trump could only win, or most likely win, with an October surprise based on a strategy of tension. And the strategy of tension rolls on, and sometimes it's carefully disguised, other times it's blatant. Looks like the Olympics are almost over. 2 or 3 days more on the Olympics. I think ending is in the night here between Sunday and Monday. But that could still turn into terrorism. And then other possibilities open up. So what these two guys, Buck Sexton and Schindler, went through is that outside powers, now, the general idea is to accuse Russia. I would not do that automatically, although I think the Russian news media have put the Russian government into a terrible situation. I think RT has done a terrible job. I think this Sputnik publication is also doing a terrible job. They are interfering in a very crass and obvious way, and it's full of ill will. Right? In other words, it's the desire to inflict a pestilence like Trump, a loathsome creature like Trump. They somehow feel that that's going to help them. It will not help them. It will cause all kinds of problems. And again, if you don't believe me, go back to the Communist International telling people in Germany that the Social Democrats were the main danger. The Social Democrats and the unions were the bad guys, the social fascists. And guess what came out of that? Hitler seized power. And that was also bad for the Soviet Union, right, in many ways. So, speaking as a friend of Russia, of course, I would say don't do this. Now, what these two guys, Sexton and Schindler, went through, the hackers could hack the Clinton Foundation itself, right? And they probably have servers. So go in there and try to dig up something compromising. Try to get emails off Mrs. Clinton's private server. I don't know whether they mean the one she has now or the one she had in the past. Try to get the State Department work-related emails involving Mrs. Clinton and get into the Democratic National Committee and find more of that stuff, right? Stuff, anti-Bernie, things like this. Now, you want to notice that Guccifer, if that's really who it is, Guccifer 2 says that he has now hacked the DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. He said that was very easy to get into. Look, there are different layers. You can hack a dam, you can hack a railroad, you can hack an airliner, you can hack all kinds of guidance systems on transportation, energy, and so forth, and you can cause catastrophes. You can kill people. This would be an act of war. Don't go there. No acts of war. No force and no threat of force, not in the cyber realm or any other realm. Because otherwise, you're playing with fire. You're going to burn your fingers playing with fire. So don't do that. Now, the other one is the hacking, the faking of the entire election. Because if you can hack into a cache server that's got thousands of emails on it, hey, you can then imagine how this could be done vis-a-vis the computer systems that are used to put the votes together, right? To calculate, to tabulate the vote totals. Now, I want to remind you of what happened last time. And it was Karl Rove in 2012. You'll remember, a lot of people do. He had a freak out, a meltdown on Fox News at the point where Fox News decision desk was preparing to declare Obama the winner for his second term, and Romney defeated in Ohio, which then was the decisive moment of this evening. Karl Rove had prepared a computer system which was called ORCA, O-R-C-A. Go back and look into this, right? Make yourself familiar with this so you get the idea of what's likely to happen. Karl Rove's ORCA was supposedly a get-out-the-vote system. It was supposedly digital, right? What they call today digital, what Cambridge Analytica or strategic communications laboratories will allow you to do. It helps you to identify your voters and get them out, right? And if they haven't voted in the course of a day, you want to be able to call them and send a car there and so forth. So the idea, though, was that ORCA, as it was called, was the public face of a vote fraud machine. Karl Rove announced in the campaign of 2012 that the Republicans had this system called ORCA. Sounds like a killer whale, isn't that it? And there he was. The accusation then came that this was a vote fraud machine, that it was going to try to interfere with the collecting and tabulating of actual vote data. So it was vote fraud. Voter fraud is almost non-existent. Things like this done by little people, it's inconsequential. It doesn't add up to anything. You can't do it. What we're talking about is vote fraud done top down with computers by people like Rove or people, I was going to say Manafort, but he's gone, right? Bannon, does Bannon know how to do it? So the announcement then came after the election, right? Why did Karl Rove have to go into that freakout? Well, the hacktivist group, Anonymous came forward and claimed credit for defeating Romney. How did they do it? They shut down ORCA, Karl Rove's GOTV supercomputer, that this was actually a vote tabulation manipulation software. Okay? So they say We began following the digital traffic of one Karl Rove, a disrespecter of the rule of law, knowing that he claimed to be kingmaker while grifting vast wealth from barons who gladly handed him gold to anoint another king while looking the other way. After a short time, we identified the digital structure of Karl's operation and even that of his Orca. This was an easy task because they left all the doors open. So I'm reading to you from some of the better articles which were done in the Daily KOS, K-O-S, back at the time, right, in middle November of 2012. There was also a write-up of this in Wanket, and I think Op-Ed News got it too. But beyond that, there's almost nothing. So you got to start thinking, what if somebody, a government, hackers, combination of the above, if they try to pervert the outcome of this election, and they'll be doing it for Trump. And I'm amazed to see Pat Buchanan, right, the great race theorist and reactionary. Pat Buchanan writes about a possible October surprise in this sense. And, of course, it doesn't have to be cyber. It can be a financial crash. There's a guy on here. Let's see if we can find him. There's a character on the Internet who is telling you now that the end of the world is coming. This always gets attention, needless to say. And the end of the world is going to be coming in September, towards the end of the month. Let me find this so you can mark your calendar. I think it's the 26th of September that he's talking about. I'm sorry, September 30th. Well, September 30th. Look, the end of every quarter is a payments deadline. This has been so since time immemorial. Every quarter is one, but the most important one politically and financially is the third quarter to fourth quarter. In other words, September 30th to October 1st. So undoubtedly there will be increased interest, right? There may also be, triple witching hour, things like this, right? We'll look into it. But this guy's telling you, time to buy gold because of this event. James Rickards says all this stuff, the new case for gold, the big drop, and other things. So this could all be part of this kind of a destabilization scenario, okay? But think of Orca. That would be an important one.